All right, this is a question for all three of us. What type of rack do you prefer? A wide, tall, like heavy, gnarly, typical, non-typical?
Mm.
Tiny and non-typical.
It's like women; they're all great.
I do. We were going to get through that without that joke. Uh, um, I don't know, man. I think a like a I'd love to kill a deer with some drop tines.
Yeah, a giant non-typical would be cool. There's something
Uh,
about them when they just got stuff everywhere that I like.
uh,
I think um, because of the way Pope and Young and Boone and Crockett score deer, it makes you want these typicals. Where I think that naturally you should like a non-typical. I mean, you shouldn't be deducting score because it's got a drop tine or it's got a sticker. That should be a bonus point.
yeah,
Um, to me, the more you put on them antlers, the better. Um, I love stickers, drop tines, forks, all that stuff.
yeah,
Know.
me too. Now,
Ti-
go ahead, Lou.
I was just going to say, I don't know if I got mine in, but tiny and non-typical. I remember when Dan was in the shop, and I got the first buck I shot in Michigan. It was 1995, and I shot it here in Holly State Rec area. And its rack looks about. Let me get some of my fingers out of the way, about like that. But it had just crap everywhere. There was like 11 or some points on that thing, and you could tell one of the beams cantilevered over and something was broken off, but it was just this tiny little messed up rack. And Dan goes, "That's a really cool deer."
It was.
Yeah,
I think that
It
actually
is.
that if I remember that rack correctly, I think that's a mature buck. It
I
just
think
had a
so.
screwed up small rack, probably from injuries or something, but just a bizarre cool rack. I don't know. You ever see the midget freak buck that I shot?
I've seen most of your stuff, but I can't remember that one.
I
Midget
don't know if
freak
I got a
buck.
picture of it around here somewhere
yes,
in here. But that thing had horns like a bighorn sheep that curled around its face.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And that deer, I believe, was mature, but it was only a couple feet tall. But it had this big neck and this little midget head, and the head was deformed. It had a pudge nose. I don't know what that thing got into, but it was like a Down syndrome deer or something. And it actually, when it saw me, it ran right at me, and I don't know what it was thinking. And while it was running at me at about 6 or 7 paces, I put an arrow right alongside of its neck and killed it. And I thought it was a doe,
oh
and
my
I got over and
gosh.
went around its head. But that's just a bizarre, cool deer. And it's hard to even take a picture of it because it doesn't really show it. You have to actually see them because it's like you got to be able to turn them and look at them to see that curl, and it's just weird.
Was
I
that
just
was
thought it
that
was funny. I got all these tiny little racks in my basement, and Dan's picking out probably the smallest one, and going, "That's really cool." Hearing that from the big buck serial killer on this little thing.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I saw it in your basement when I was there.
You probably
Yeah, I
did.
love the freaks. That's me. I just love the freaks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think if I had to pick one, it'd be just a big non-typical. That'd be freaking sweet. And I guess Pope and Young does score non-typicals. You got to have so many non-typical inches before it gets qualified for non-typical. But yeah, it is
Right, but
annoying
I
that.
mean they do kind of judgmentally kind of
Yeah,
lean towards a typical clean rack. I
yeah,
mean, you ask me if you take a 170 inch buck and you add a 6 inch drop tine, it's 6 inches bigger. It's not
right.
6 inches smaller.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. For a long time, like probably whenever you were shooting big bucks, Dan, I don't think Pope and Young had a non-typical record. I think it was for a long time. I think it was just typical.
No, as far as long as I can remember, they had a non-typical record.
Oh, really? I thought they implemented it later on in the whatever
No, it was
the
always like
career.
15 inches bigger. It had to be to make the
Mm.
book, but it had to have a certain percentage of non-typical. Um,
Yeah, like so many inches before it qualified for a non-typical.
yeah, when I was young, I mean, everybody I think when they're first starting out back in the day that really wanted to get Pope and Youngs, wanted to put them in the books. I think a lot of that came from in my generation, Miles Keller. Oh,
Oh
there's
yeah,
the
there it
buck.
is.
There's the buck.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because Miles
Yeah, that
Keller at that time frame had that the world's record for the most Pope and Young bucks.
yeah.
So
How
everybody
many
wanted
is?
to.
Do you remember how many that is, Dan?
I think it was like 50 or something. I have no idea anymore. Um, I know most of his bucks got stolen.
Yeah.
He went down to a show in Texas, and they were in a truck being transported to the show, and somebody stole the truck or the trailer, and it was never ever recovered.
Hey everybody, if you like the channel, make sure you subscribe right here. And if you like the clips, I got 2 more options for you. 2 options right here. Subscribe right here. See you guys.